Okay, we've got 6 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Ms. Marshall, will you call roll, please?
Ross.
Here.
White.
Here.
Taylor. Robinson.
Here.
Baxter.
Here.
Fouch.
Here.
Height.
Here.
And Witcher.
Present.
A quorum is present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Let's, Alderman Robinson is going to lead us in prayer and pledge. If you please stand.
Let's bow our heads. Lord, we thank you for another day and another opportunity to gather together to take care of business on behalf of the city. Lord, we just ask that you be with us and be in our midst today. These and other blessings we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Move for adoption of the special and regular.
Second.
On the motion?
Ross.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Taylor's out. Robinson.
Yes.
Baxter.
Yes.
Fouch.
Yes.
Height.
Yes.
And Witcher.
Yes.
Did we approve the minutes of the other meeting before the special call?
No, we didn't.
Do we need to do that too, Murray?
Both special and regular.
All right.
That's what I
The
asked for.
special.
The
that's what
motion
it
was
is,
for
one of us
special
on.
and regular.
Was it for both? Okay, you heard that? Okay, all right, good. I'm standing up because I'm getting ready to walk down. It is my pleasure and all of our pleasures, I'm sure, that our North Little Rock High School basketball team did a three-peat and won the state championship for the third year in a row. And we are so very, very proud of them and glad that they came down. I spent some time in my office with them and explained to them how important I thought that our basketball team was, and the motivation that only gave them, but it also motivated their fellow students to do better and stay in school to be part of a winning program. So to Coach Rice and the ball players, I certainly want to say thank you. Job well done. But I'm gonna ask Isaac is going to come up, and I'm going to come down. We've proclaimed each one of them a special day, which I believe is March the 14th. Was the day in Hot Springs where we won the state championship and beat a very good Bentonville team. But our team, I was so proud, and we won that day. So I'm going to walk down front. We're going to call them up one at a time. We're going to get a picture with each one of them, and then a group picture, and everybody at home can see them, and then we'll go into our general business. Okay, Isaac. Who's the very first one?
Kayvon Allen.
Kayvon. I think Kayvon was also Player of the Year, weren't you, buddy? Weren't you? Yeah, we're proud of you, man. Got it. Good. Scoot over right over there. Then we'll give everybody all at one time.
Cabrion Dickerson.
Are these in alphabetical order? Yeah. If you know your number's coming up, you can start walking up this way. Congratulations.
Deion Dobbins.
Deion, congratulations.
Des Duckworth.
Congratulations.
Sam Duncombe. Adrian Moore.
Congratulations, Adrian.
Yeah.
Jarvis Ricks. Morris Talbot.
Congratulations.
JT Taylor.
JT.
Talay Wade.
Congratulations.
BJ Walker.
BJ.
Coach Nathan Claiborne.
Hey, Coach. Great job, Coach.
And Coach Johnny Rice.
Coach Rice, unbelievable job. Thank you. We're very, very proud of you. All right, let's squeeze in, guys, get one group picture, and then we'll let y'all go do what you want to do. Yep. Tall one's in the back. That's right.
Look at that.
Good. Thanks, you guys. Thank you. We're proud of you. Very proud of you. Okay, I think now we are going to go to public hearing.
Well, we hadn't done the communication yet. You want to do?
Yeah, let's do this.
Mayor, I move we accept 1 through 5.
None pulled. I see none on the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson? Yes. Baxter?
Yes.
Pouch?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher.
Yes.
Public hearing.
Okay, let's now go into public hearing. Public hearing today is on food trucks. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Everybody sign up.
Let me get my glasses out. Hold on, sorry. Okay, I know we've got some people signed up for different things, but the public hearing is going to be just on food trucks. And that is number what, 28?
28.
01528. Okay. First one I've got signed up is Alan Engstrom. Alan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to comment on the food truck issue. I am in support of making it much easier for food trucks to operate in North Little Rock. I was born and raised in North Little Rock. I have a business about a block from here called CFO Network. I employ 22 people down here in Argenta, and we have plans to expand in the next 5 years to roughly double that. And I can tell you that as a business owner, I'm very interested in creating a workplace and an environment where I can recruit top talent. And I did a survey of my workers last week, and it's very clear that every single one of my employees would very much like food trucks in North Little Rock. And so I'm not here to advocate that we have no regulation of food trucks, but I do believe that we need to dramatically simplify the regulation and make it very easy for the food trucks to come over to North Little Rock to operate. And I think it is vitally important for anyone that's interested in growing the economy here in North Little Rock to facilitate this. It's a big trend nationwide. It's a big trend across the river. And I think anything that we do that is a barrier to food trucks operating in North Little Rock is in the long run and even in the short run very harmful. One interesting thing that came out of my survey was about 85% of my workers either bring their lunch to work and eat at their desk, or they go out for fast food. and every single one of those people said that they would definitely go to food trucks if they were available. And so what that means to me is, and to the city even, is those are tax dollars. Food trucks are taxed just like any other restaurant. And so if you do some math and try to even approximate the number of people in North Little Rock, workers who don't go out to eat for lunch currently, or you would argue have a bad alternative and go get fast food, the amount of increased revenues to the city could be significant. How many people work in North Little Rock? Is it 50,000? I don't know. But if my little poll is even halfway representative of what of the rest of the city, that would be a huge inflection in terms of the number of people who would go out and eat local food with local workers at higher than average wages. The sales tax, the hamburger tax, all that would greatly benefit the city. And I just think it's very important for a business owner who's trying to recruit great people to come to help me grow my business here in North Little Rock. This would be a very important thing for the business. And
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
I didn't announce it, but remind everybody that we have a 3-minute limit. Alan reminded me of that while he was speaking. Donna Hardcastle.
It's Little Rock definition.
Yeah, I've got that.
Okay.
Thank you very much. The first thing I want to say is I appreciate y'all looking at this again. In the last several months, we've heard from several of the mobile food vendors who've told us it was too hard to do business in North Little Rock. And it's hard for me to accept that because it's North Little Rock, it's my town. So I would like to see us make some changes. You know, we've seen a lot of these operators go to brick and mortar businesses that started from their food trucks, primarily in Little Rock. And that's because they are very business friendly to food truck operators. Food trucks are a really hot thing right now all around the country. And I think it's something that we want to take a look at and as Alan had said, simplify our process. Our organizations will continue to use our local restaurants as much as possible. What we've run into is sometimes they're not able to meet the needs that we have, and when that occurs, we'd like to be able to use food trucks as a substitute for our local restaurants. What I would like to see, since we're looking at this thing all over again, is that we mirror our rules with those rules of Little Rock and Benton and Conway, where there's just 3 requirements. One, that you have a valid business license in Indy City in Arkansas, that you have a valid A&P license to do business in North Little Rock, and that you display a current state health inspection. Those are the only 3 requirements in most of the cities that are around us. I'm not advocating for us to have food trucks pull up on the street and take business away from our restaurants. What I'm advocating is to simplify the process when there's a need for them to have them, or an event where you want to have them, that they can do business here more easily. Again, we'll continue to support our restaurants. We love our restaurants.
Just look at this.
Thank you, Donna. Kent Walker.
We've already got it. We already require insurance.
Mayor, City Council, I appreciate y'all revisiting this issue as well. Alan asked me what I was going to talk about, what my theme was. And I guess my theme is that food trucks in of themselves create a vibe in a community, which creates a city. If we all go back and look at Main Street, Little Rock 2 years ago, when you got out of a play at 10 o'clock, you ran to your car because it wasn't safe. And that's the truth. And people on Main Street right now will tell you that food trucks weren't the singular factor that turned around Main Street in Little Rock, but it was one of the strongest contributing factors. It brought people in, they felt safe, it developed a community, which developed that city. And we all know in 24 months it has been a flip-flop in that area. And they do it because they didn't overregulate food trucks. They made it easy for them to come in, they made it easy for them to set up shop, and they were inviting. And I hate to say it, but right now we're not any of those things. We're not. The only time that I'm aware of food trucks coming over here in North Little Rock in this current ordinance as it was passed was during the pop-up. And we almost lost every single one of them because it was so difficult. Now, we should mirror, as Donna said, what Little Rock has done, what Conway has done, Benton, Sherwood, Fayetteville, the list goes on. We're the only ones that have these kinds of regulations throughout Arkansas that I've found, the only ones. So whereas North Little Rock used to be the place that everyone sought to come out to, now we're a place where we feel like we're closing doors. I was sitting back there with Drew, and I can name 5 businesses that were food trucks that are now brick and mortar restaurants, 5 in the last year. And one of them said in particular they didn't even consider us because we were not food truck friendly. Now, we have some brick and mortar arguments. I've talked to Capeo people, and Brian Isaac has told me he could say he wants food trucks in our agenda. They want the business. They're not the same competition. People going to Capeo or brick and mortar are not the ones who are taking their kids to get nachos or hot dogs or Mexican food or Southern Gourmation. It's a whole different group of people. So I ask that you reconsider and look at Little Rock and Benton and Conway and what they're doing and make it easier. And if there's a concern about us having too much regulation or areas in which we need to be an advocate for, that we do it in a commonality throughout Central Arkansas. Either Metro Plan come in and coordinate Little Rock and Conway and us on the times that you meet to have some sort of health inspection issues that go above and beyond what's already regulated by the health department. But if we do anything else to hinder this, they're just going to choose Little Rock or Conway or Benton or Sherwood. Why wouldn't they? The people who are food trucks primarily do this as a second job to start out to see if they can get a footing. So they have full-time jobs and kids, so let's just make it easier for them. Thank you.
Thanks, Kent. Jeremy Rhodes.
Again, thank you for revisiting this. I spoke last week, so I think you know most of my feelings. I just want to repeat what they said, that, yeah, let's make it as easy as possible. Continue to work on what is special event versus, hey, pull up to my private business and come sell food to my employees, because I think that's the hoop with the ordinance right now is what is a special event and how can we open the doors for the food trucks to come in without that special event clause. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Let's go into the other public comments on other pieces of legislation. Shannon Arman, you're signed up to talk about 1531.
I'm here to represent our neighborhood here in Stone Links. You know, my residents that live or my neighbors that live there that can't make it. I turned in a petition tonight and also printed off some comments from our next door Stone Links page, which is like a social network for our neighborhood. And regarding this legislation, it's just something that a lot of us don't really want. This area across the street from our front entrance to be zoned for a mobile home. We're facing a lot of challenges out there right now, but I feel like we're moving in the right direction on all these things. And something like this, you know, it just could go bad, we feel like, quickly. I mean, right down the road, and I'm not saying all mobile homes are bad, but right down the road, you know, there is some property that's in pretty poor shape. And this is a front entrance, you know, this is main road, you know, properties. And as this area grows, you know, I just feel like these main properties, and everyone does too, that are on the main roadways, should have some sort of standards, regulations. And so we're asking that you deny this special use to allow a mobile home here. Again, it's directly across from our entrance, and many of our residents just don't feel that it would be a good thing for Stone Links, or, you know, the area of the golf course, whatever it may bring. And just as that whole area continues to grow, and it will probably come further out by us. So we just ask that you will consider our request. Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. Shannon's the president of the Stone Links Association, and she is doing a wonderful job. Okay, that's all the public comments that I see that have signed up. So I think we can go right on into old business.
Old business, 1528, Mayor Smith.
Please call it.
An ordinance amending section 74-51 of chapter 74 of the North Rock Municipal Code to clarify and simplify regulations for mobile food vendors. Third reading.
Okay, let's talk.
Let's talk.
Ms. Ross?
Mr. Carter was helped us out here, and he sent us information on different food trucks and different, I guess one of the things, if he could just kind of briefly, it was on, have you got it?
I do.
Okay. I guess the two things that that I've looked at, that maybe Little Rock, Conway, they don't have these, but the other cities in the rest of the United States do, is the liability and the fire inspection, liability insurance and fire inspection. So if you could just kind of.
So after the last meeting, the 4 items that I felt like we were somewhat tasked with to kind of research, find out what was going on around the country and give you some kind of abbreviated report was on fire inspections, liability insurance, dining areas, and location restrictions. Those were kind of the areas that we discussed at our last meeting. It seems like fire inspections are pretty commonplace, and especially in larger cities. I've brought a bunch of research with me that where I can refer you to the cities in question, but I think they've had a few accidents around the country with a few food trucks. And you know how it goes. When you have an accident, people respond to it and they create regulation in response to it. And we've seen that with fire inspections. Some are no cost, some charge a fee, it's just whatever fits. But that does seem to be a trend now since some accidents have occurred. Liability insurance also seems to be a trend. The two numbers that I think that you see commonly out there are either $500,000 or $1 million for the insurance coverage. I think the cities where you're seeing a lot more food trucks are requiring the $1 million policy with the city named as an additional insured. San Francisco comes to mind immediately, and so there's some cities out there that are requiring that. Some of them have lesser requirements, of $500,000. I don't know that I saw anything that was lower than that. And then there are some other cities, though, that have no insurance requirements at all, like you would see in Arkansas right now. Nobody's really imposing that requirement. There are some regulations on dining areas. There's really not that many cities are really putting regulations out there because I think it just doesn't make logistical sense for the food trucks to do that. So some are explicitly stating that you're not going to set up dining areas or things like that. And I think other cities, probably the majority rule, they don't regulate it because it's not an issue, so they haven't put that regulation in place. The location restrictions that I've seen, it seems, there was a good article that came out of food trucks in Chicago about how they call it bricks versus wheels. They kind of negotiate what these buffer zones ought to be, so they're not stepping on each other for customers and being respectful of each other's operating areas. That's a whole lot of it is brokering that relationship. And then additionally, there's some requirements, as far as zoning goes. There's some zoning implications that keep food trucks out of residential neighborhoods and things like that. So that was kind of our research. We want to give you that feedback while you're chewing over these amendments. Obviously, it's a matter of much concern throughout our community, and trying to find the balance is a difficult thing to do.
Mr. Hite?
This food truck vendor checklist, on number 4 on here, it says they have to have proof of inspection by the North Little Rock Fire Marshal. Aren't we already requiring an inspection by the fire marshal?
It's not in this amendment. It's not in.
That's the North Little Rock list. It's on the website.
Currently, for the food trucks, we are requiring, it was in the, that we added in that they are getting required by the fire marshal. So currently, we do request that.
All right, so I guess the answer is yes, we are requiring them right now. Currently, under 01528, we would not require them. So if you want to require that.
So does 01528 delete? Okay, all right.
Yes, in its current form, it deletes the requirement for a fire inspection. It also deletes a requirement. There is no requirement for liability insurance.
Well, now number 5 on here says they have to provide a current certificate of insurance providing general liability insurance.
Oh, and it has that on number 5. There's no policy limits in there.
Pardon me?
There's no policy limits as far as number 5 goes that you would see in some other cities if this council wanted to go there. But right now, we would be deleting number 5. So if you wanted to have that
Okay, so
to be the law, then right, you would want to amend that subsection D to add that in as a requirement.
Okay, I'm not saying I'm for or against it. I'm just saying that currently we require.
The way this legislation is drawn up, and correct me if I'm wrong, Counselor, you have to register and get an A&P number, and
business license.
it has to be a special event.
Yes.
And that's about it.
You have to have a business license, but doesn't necessarily have to be from North Little Rock.
Right.
We recognize business licenses.
Could be
for
a
other
Little Rock
cities.
business license.
Okay, well, my thoughts along this is that, and I visited with the mayor about this today, and come up with some ideas about how we can tweak this legislation. And we're at a point in time that we are given an opportunity to fix this, and we're not going to get a whole lot more opportunities to fix this legislation. And so I'm thinking that this is the time for us to, if we're going to fix it, whichever amendments we decide on, you know, we ought to get it right. And one of the things that I visited with the mayor about today is that presently our legislation requires that there be an event involved, and that it seems to me that if we could remove that one requirement and then put in some more sections or whatever to keep the mayor still involved in okaying food trucks in certain areas. For example, I suggested to the mayor that all public property, all city rights of way, for a food truck to be in any of those, it has to have mayor office approval. And then we go to zoning for commercial and industrial all commercial industrial zones, that for a food truck to be involved or on any of those properties, the existing property owner or landowner has to grant approval. But once he grants approval, he has to notify the mayor's office that there's possibly going to be a food truck there or an event there. And then the third thing is that all other properties that are zoned not commercial or not industrial would still fall under the mayor's office for approval. None of those require events, but they still do require that private landowners who have properties that are zoned commercially and industrially can make the decision whether or not they want to have food trucks there. There's some other things too, but that's the main thing there, is to remove that requirement that it be an event in order for food trucks to be there, and then we can make it a little bit easier for the food truck owner to be granted privilege to operate in the city of North Little Rock.
Ms. Ross?
Back to the fire inspection, you know, when all of this was, when we first looked at this back when this original piece of legislation was put together, and Alderman White is the one that's done all this work on. I've got to commend her for this because she's worked, I don't know how many years on this now, but I spoke to the fire marshal, and it was his recommendation that we have these fire inspections. Not necessarily, it could be the plumbing inspector, because these are propane, the hookups and everything. It could come from the fire marshal's office or the plumbing inspector. And this is something too that, you know, I don't see why we couldn't reciprocate on that like we do the business license. If you have it inspected in your hometown, in Sherwood, Little Rock, if you have an inspection, that we could accept that inspection from that city also. But the fire inspection, that's one of the things that I feel pretty strong about putting that in.
And none of the other cities require that, I don't believe.
No.
Not in Arkansas.
City of Little Rock.
Mayor, can I ask a question about the fire inspection? For some reason in my mind, I'm thinking that when buildings are built or when health inspections are secured for restaurants, that there is also a plumbing inspection in connection with that, which I think would cover the fire. And Robert's not here, is he?
Yeah, Robert's
Yeah,
here.
Robert helped me with that. Maybe I'm wrong about it.
I know we do on buildings. I'm just not sure we issue plumbing inspections on.
Well, the state health department has to approve the plumbing plan. And that's one of the permits that has to be secured through the health department.
Right.
For brick and mortar restaurants.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, I was looking, all right, I went through the process of applying for a mobile food truck license this weekend. And there are 7 licenses that would be required, both for Little Rock and North Little Rock. Of that 7, only 2 are peculiar to North Little Rock, that being the A&P permit and the privilege license. My understanding is that Little Rock does not recognize ours, but I think we have in the past recognized
That's correct, we do.
those licenses. So that means that the other license is a county license, 3 from the state, 1 being the health department, and I don't know what the other 2 are, and then 1 from the federal government. So, I mean, they're inspected to death before they get to us. And that's the point that I'm
Ms.
trying
Ross?
to bring to you.
Okay.
The brick and mortar restaurants, they have an annual inspection every year. So, I mean, even though they have all the license and all that,
Well,
our fire department goes out and inspects these restaurants, and they inspect business annually.
Okay,
on that.
the state health department, if it's just a normal operation, they will inspect it twice a year. If it is a hot and cold food operation, they can expect inspections at least 3 times a year and maybe 4 once a quarter on these. And that's a state regulation. So I mean, so why do we need to involve our people too?
Ms. Ross?
Are they doing the fire inspection when the health department?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't see the chief out there, but I don't think so. Ms. White?
At the time we were doing the legislation, it was understood that there was no fire inspection.
Right.
And at the time we were doing the legislation, in the midst of it, there was an explosion in Pennsylvania involving a food truck, and then there was a fire in our own city. It wasn't quite the same as a food truck. It was a propane gas that caterer or something and that's what prompted from the legal department and us looking into it to add that, and we saw that other cities did have that. So that's the history on that food. And I think in the considering safety, if we're considering safety, that this is something we need to look at. I don't think we need to drop it too quickly.
Mr. Fouch?
I kind of like to revisit the special events designation. Under that's section 74-51, that first paragraph scope, paragraph A and the subs 1 and 2 designate food trucks only for special events. We've laid out criteria within this legislation that says they can be within so many feet of a fixed restaurant, they can't be so many feet within an intersection in a school, and whatever other properties are laid out there. I think that if the folks have the opportunity to bring their food trucks in here on a regular basis, other than just a special event, set them up in a private property location. I agree with one of the speakers out there. We're going to generate revenue. I mean, if you go up and down McCain Boulevard, it's restaurant, restaurant, restaurant. These guys are in direct competition with permanent built restaurants, and they manage to keep their doors open and keep their parking lots full. The good lunchtime crowd for tacos and whatever else that comes in on them food trucks, I think would be an advantage to us. And if at all possible, I'd like to strike that special event and make this as an open business license for food trucks.
You know, we might as well just start. We're going to amend this thing more than once, so do you want to make that an amendment?
Yes, sir. What I do is like to make an amendment to section 74-51, paragraph 1A and subparas 1 and 2, and delete those in their entirety, and make paragraph B effective as paragraph A and forward.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments, questions?
Before we throw the door open to anything and everything, it was going to be my recommendation tonight that we get a group together, the brick and mortar restaurant, the food truck people, the AMP commission, to come back to us and bring us areas where they want these food trucks. I mean, now this is on the public property. I would like to see them bring that back to us rather than just open up all the streets or anything. And that's what most cities do. They have designated food truck areas. And so.
What's Little Rock got?
Little Rock does zoning. They do zoning.
Has to be commercial zone.
Or industrial.
It has to be, I don't know what their where's Robert?
I've got it.
Robert, do you know what their O designation is?
Office. Yeah, we use commercial.
Okay, they use Office 1, 2, 3. They use C1, 2, 3, 4, and then I1, 2, and 3. And so we don't have an office.
Correct.
Yeah,
we
commercial
would use
industrial.
C or I.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that had come up this week that I was presented with, was that if we take the event out of the equation, but that we still then we have to designate who approves for public property and right-of-ways, who has to approve for commercial or industrial zoning, and then all other zoning, which is residential, would remain with the mayor's office.
All right, Ms. White.
I want to add that O1469 that was passed in July of last year, for that legislation, the only zoning area that we were allowing were commercially zoned areas, and residentially we were not able to put industrial at that time. I did try, but it was not received, so we didn't put it in. So we have another piece of legislation on the zoning.
Okay, so right now, we're looking at, we want to remove the special events. We're looking at, we want to require insurance. We want to require a once-a-year fire inspection. So that's 3 potential amendments. What else?
And then we want to do zoning. We want to
Zoning.
designate public property, commercial, industrial, and then all other zoning. But
okay. Mr. Taylor, were you going to say something?
Well, I'm getting a little confused because we've got a motion on the floor, an amendment on the floor, and a second.
Yeah. Comments on this amendment?
So this would throw open everywhere, anywhere anybody wanted to put a food truck, correct?
no, not everywhere.
In a commercial area.
This is
Commercial and industrial zoning would have to be approved by the property or the landowner. So let me use an example. Either Lake Hill Shopping Center or one of the shopping centers in Lakewood Village. If somebody wanted to put some food trucks in the Lakewood Village, they'd have to get approval from the Ashley companies. If they wanted to put them in Lake Hill Shopping Center, the Matthews companies would have to approve them.
Okay.
There's still a requirement.
I'm trying to think, you know, I mean, I was trying to hurry this up so that we could, because we've got a festival coming up next weekend. From what I'm hearing is that we'd like to beat it around a little bit more. I don't mind doing that but I'm going to do executive privilege if I can, council, to approve these food trucks for next week's festival. If I can do that, then we'll certainly get 3 or 4 of us together and try to iron out these 4 or 5 different things we want to do. So
why don't we do this then, with your permission? Why don't we hold this legislation, grant you the right to executive order, executive privilege, whatever, for that up-and-coming event for food trucks, and then in the next 1 or 2 council meetings, let's hammer out a fix or tweaks on this legislation.
all right, why don't we
do it right?
Alderman Fouts, will you pull your motion?
I'll withdraw it this time.
All right, and the second, will you pull that? Okay, we're going to pull that amendment off. What I'd really like to do is get a couple of council members and a couple of interested parties, you know, Donna, maybe you and Jeremy or Kent, and sit down, you know, during the day sometime and hash through this stuff. Ms. Ross?
I would suggest too, somebody from the AMP Commission.
AMP.
And some possible restaurants too, because, I mean, they're not opposed to the food trucks, but just to get their input too.
Okay, who raised their hand? Murray, did you?
But, you know, the only comment I'll make is, I work in the industrial area in Little Rock part-time, and it is common to see food trucks around those production facilities in the airport industrial park. Large construction sites like the North Little Rock High School. I mean, there's a food truck there every day. And I know you're not signing off on it, but that saves those folks time, and they can get their lunch and get back to work. I mean, it's a matter of practicality from an individual standpoint. And I think, like I said before, you know, if the business is not there, the food trucks are not going to be there. So many of the things that we're talking about, restrictions and managing them, you know, it's going to take care of itself through the market driven.
Okay, who wants to volunteer? Who wants to volunteer? Ms. White?
Mr.
And
Hyde.
Mr. Height. All right, those are our 2 council members. Donna, will you serve on that? Jeremy?
Mayor,
Anybody else?
we need somebody from the clerk's office involved as well, because they're the ones who administer
Okay,
so much.
Caitlin or Mark, okay?
Sir.
And Bob Major, yes, sir.
Can I get a food truck representative?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. All right, and Charlie, will you be chair of that?
Yes, sir.
Mayor, how about somebody from the restaurants too?
Okay. Charlie, you're in charge.
All right.
And we're going to expect a report back from you in 3 weeks.
All right, so what I'll need to do is get a list of everybody that's on the
Yeah,
task
y'all,
force or
before y'all
whatever
get
it's
out of
called,
here,
if I
leave
were-
us your name and contact information for Mr. Height so we can set up the meeting and, you know, we'll get some cookies and punch or
Did I hear
something.
you nominated Mr. Major? Did you do that?
Bob Major, right. Okay, with that, I'm going to hold that legislation. And Donna, for the festival next weekend, all's fair in love and war. Bring them all. Right.
That'll work.
Okay.
You have to have their A and P and business permits, though.
Yeah, they got to have their A and P numbers.
And health inspection.
A and P numbers, okay? Okay, let's go to the next piece of legislation.
Will be on consent agenda.
Yeah, anybody want to pull anything from the consent agenda? Seeing none, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
On the motion?
On the motion, Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Yeah, we could have.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Fouch?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
Ms. Brewer is not in the audience, but she has agreed. She is a wonderful lady. If you don't know her, I've known her for quite some time, and she is quite special. And Shirley Lindsay, who of course is retiring off the board, has been on that board for a long, long time, and we want to thank Ms. Lindsay for her service. And if you get to see Joyce, be sure and hug her neck also. New business.
New business.
1531.
Old 1531. Wait.
Please call it.
An ordinance granting a special use to allow a mobile home in an R2 zone for certain real property located at 14024 Faulkner Lake Road in the city of North Little Rock. First reading.
Do I have a motion?
Move spin the rules, placed on second reading.
Second.
On the motion.
On the motion, Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Fouch?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
An ordinance granting a special use to allow a mobile home in an R2 zone for certain real property located at 14024 Faulkner Lake Road in the city of North Little Rock. Second reading.
Move to suspend the rules, place on third reading.
Second.
On the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Fouch?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
An ordinance granting a special use to allow a mobile home in an R2 zone for certain real property located at 14024 Faulkner Lake Road in the city of North Rock. Third and final reading.
On the motion. No, do we have a motion?
We don't have one.
Ms. Ross.
Shannon said that she turned in a petition. I'm just curious, what the petition said and how many, if there's a lot of names, or because we didn't get to see the petition?
About 16 names.
Okay, and that's from the Stone Lakes community?
Okay, we have a motion to adopt. Do we have a motion? Let's vote on it tonight. Somebody give me a motion.
So move.
Second.
On the motion.
On the motion to adopt, Ross,
No.
White,
No.
Taylor,
No.
Robinson,
No.
Baxter,
No.
Fouch,
No.
Height,
No.
and Witcher.
No.
On to the next one.
On 1532, Alderman Height.
Please call it.
An ordinance accepting streets, alleys, sidewalks, and drainage infrastructure within Northbrook subdivision, Phase 1 in the city of North Rock. First reading.
Move to suspend all readings.
Second.
On the motion to suspend all readings.
On the motion to suspend all reading, Ross,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Baxter,
Yes.
Fouch,
Yes.
Height,
Yes.
and Witcher.
Yes.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Second.
On the motion.
On the motion, Ross,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Baxter,
Yes.
Fouch,
Yes.
Height,
Yes.
and Witcher.
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Baxter,
Yes.
Fouch,
Yes.
Height,
Yes.
and Witcher.
Yes.
On 1534,
33.
on 1533, sorry, Alderman Baxter.
Please call it.
An ordinance granting a special use to allow a beauty school in an I-2 zone for certain real property located at 10401 Maumelle Boulevard in the city of North Rock. First reading.
Move to suspend the readings.
Second.
On the motion.
Ross,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Baxter,
Yes.
Fouch,
Yes.
Height,
Yes.
and Witcher.
Yes.
Got a motion.
Move for adoption.
Second.
On the motion.
Ross,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Baxter,
Yes.
Fouch,
Yes.
Height,
Yes.
and Witcher.
Yes.
On 1534, I'm sorry, on the.
On the emergency.
Emergency. Ross,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Baxter.
Yes.
Fouch.
Yes.
Height.
Yes.
And Witcher.
Yes.
On 1534, Alderman Taylor.
Please call it.
An ordinance granting a special use to allow a car repair business in a C6 zone for certain real property located at 1001 Ferry Street in the city of North Rock. First reading.
Move to suspend the readings.
Second.
Ms. Robinson.
I'd like to add hours of operation to this legislation.
All right, let's suspend the readings and then we'll come back and do that.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
all in favor of suspending the readings?
We got to call the roll on that.
On the motion?
Oh,
Yeah.
Ross,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Baxter.
Yes.
Fouch.
Yes.
Height.
Yes.
And Witcher.
Yes.
Okay, now, Ms. Robinson, your amendment.
I'd like to add hours of operation to this legislation. Is the person here for this particular legislation?
The real estate developer, Mr. McCray.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. McCray.
Good evening. How are you, ma'am?
I'm fine. I'd like to add hours of operation to your legislation. Looking at maybe from 6:30 or 7 in the morning and maybe cutting off around 6 or 7 in the evening. We don't want any 2 a.m., fixing cars at 2 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night.
I wouldn't anticipate any problem with the 2 a.m. issue, but 7, I mean, if you could maybe say 10 p.m., is that late enough?
Well, our noise ordinance, I think, starts at 10. So
Okay.
that's acceptable if they cut off at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And they start, what time do you think that they would start? About 9, 7? What time?
I would say no earlier than 7.
Okay.
Is it a body shop or a car repair?
Car repair.
Okay.
That's up to residential, though.
From
Don't-
Question. Yeah.
Don't we have this came up several years ago about, we have a regulation, a rule, or an ordinance, something about what time businesses can start in the morning, and I think that was particularly construction companies could start up their equipment in the mornings.
Within our noise
Roofing companies is 6 a.m.
Is it?
Well, we have a noise ordinance, though, that would override that 6 a.m.
So from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Brooks,
That's fine.
that means they need to lock up and go home at 10 p.m. That doesn't mean quit working on cars and hang out, you know? So tell them they need to get there at 7. They need to be gone by before 10 o'clock. All right, that's the amendment. You got it, council?
I phrased it in the reverse. It's business shall not operate between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m.
Okay. All right, do I have a second on that?
Between 10
What did you just say?
The business shall not operate
Okay.
between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m.
Okay.
So if we go out there and they're operating between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m., that clearly shows we got a problem.
Okay.
Then we can call them back here and pull the special use.
Right.
Yes, that would subject them to having the special use withdrawn.
Okay. That's
Okay.
acceptable.
Do I have a second on that amendment?
Second.
All right, on the motion to amend.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Fouch?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher.
Yes, move for adoption as amended.
Second.
On the motion.
On the motion, Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Fouch?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher.
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Fouch?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Brooks.
Those legislation.
Okay, we're going into public comment section. Vicki Olson. Ms. Olson?
I'm actually used to public speaking. I'm a paralegal, and ordinarily I can be pretty articulate, but tonight I'm not sure I'm going to make it. I'm rather emotional. All of you received an email from me earlier today regarding my objection to breed-specific laws in North Little Rock. I want to say that I love North Little Rock, but I love my dog, Daisy, more. I have really deep roots in North Little Rock. My mother was born here in 1919 when it was still Argenta. Her father, my grandfather, was the founder and the first pastor of what's now the First Assembly of God Church in North Little Rock. I did not grow up here. My father was in the military. I grew up elsewhere, all over the world. I moved back here. I'd been in Texas for 30 years, raised my children there. I moved back here about 10 years ago because my mother, who had retired here in 1969, had Alzheimer's, and my brother was going to Iraq. So I came back to tend to my mother. So a few months ago, I convinced my son to move here from Texas to be near me, to help me. I know y'all won't believe this, but I'm 66. Now, everybody go, yeah, that's hard to believe.
No, you're not.
But I am 66, almost 67. And it's been very comforting to me to have my son here in North Little Rock. And I have to tell you, when you've got a native Texan, it's hard to convince them to come live in Arkansas because they still think that we're backward here, and I've done a lot to try to convince him. So he finally agreed to come with his biochemistry degree, his cat, Johnny, and his dog, Daisy. But unfortunately, an ineffective and unnecessary city ordinance is forcing me to relocate. Starting immediately, I will be buying my dog food and my groceries and my gasoline in Conway because a North Little Rock city ordinance is depriving me of my loving companion, Daisy the dog. Our peace was disrupted this past Friday night when the North Little Rock Animal Control and the North Little Rock City came to our home with a warrant to remove our dog, a pet that's kept indoors, has been spayed, is microchipped, and never leaves our fenced yard. We don't even walk her on a leash. She sleeps in the bed with my son and the cat. She has never growled at anyone. I take food out of her mouth and she does not snap at me. And I believe that the North Little Rock City Code actually violates my rights to property granted to me under the 14th Amendment. And I'm prepared to fight the city with all legal avenues open to me. I don't want to do that. I want to appeal to your intelligence, your humanity, and understand that breed-specific laws do not make a safe community. North Little Rock already has a vicious dog ordinance on the record. Enforce that, you have safe people. I know some of you are right now thinking, oh, there was a horrible pit bull attack in Pine Bluff just recently. Yes, there was, and it was horrible. And no one can support owning that kind of dog. But let me tell you, Pine Bluff has a dog-specific pit bull, a breed-specific law, pit bull ban, that did not save that man, that did not keep that owner from not having those dogs. The warrant, the notice of seizure that was put in front of us quotes the North Little Rock City Ordinance. And I want you to know, it's, first of all, it bans pit bulls. There's no such breed as a pit bull. There absolutely is no such breed as a pit bull. And to prove that, even your ordinance says American Pit Bull Terrier, American Staffordshire Terrier, Staffordshire Bull Terriers, American Bulldogs, and any dog substantially conforming to these breeds, as well as any breed commonly recognized or identified or referred to as a pit bull. If it looks like a pit bull and someone thinks it's a pit bull, it's a pit bull. I don't know if my dog's a pit bull or not. I've got a picture of her here that I'm going to show y'all. And I mean, it's too little for everyone to see, but this is my son Sean and Pit Bull Daisy that's the subject of this. And I've posted it onto a reprint of an article from Time Magazine where President Obama has spoken out against breed-specific legislation as ineffective and a waste of public resources. I'll be handing these out to those. I've emailed this to you, but I'd also have a handout. And I beg you, if you did not read what I sent you, please take the time to read it with an open mind and understand that these laws do not protect people. They take pets, loved pets, away from people who take good care of their dogs. We have, I'm asking to have a repeal of Section 1046 of the Municipal Code and put in place what is already in place, Section 1044, which covers vicious dogs and takes care of everything we need. Instead of law enforcement knocking on your door and taking your dog that has never, my dog has never even been in contact with anyone outside of my home. We keep her inside. So, and apparently a neighbor saw her when she went out to pee in our fenced yard and reported that we had a pit bull on premises. I don't know, you may not even know what this means to me as a pet owner, a homeowner, someone that was proud to return to Arkansas. I have 3 days to get my dog back. I have to get her back within 3 days. I have to go sign an affidavit that says I will remove her from the city of North Little Rock immediately, and or that she will be euthanized. So I have to get in my car, put the dog in my car, and in my case, drive to Austin, Texas, so that I can have the dog with someone else that can love her. I don't think the wheels of justice can move fast enough to help me, but I don't want someone else to be in this position. But I am promising right now, here in front of you today, I will not live in North Little Rock if this ordinance remains. I'm taking the dog for temporary housing. I'm going to seek housing outside of North Little Rock so that I can have my dog back. So, Conway, here I come. I do want you to realize that there are 15 states that prohibit breed-specific legislation at the local level, including our neighbors Texas and Oklahoma. The states have said, you, the city, cannot tell these people they cannot own their property. And I don't think I can talk anymore, and I'm sure I've used my 3 minutes. I wish that you could help me with my immediate problem. I doubt that you can. I'm going to have to take a day off work, drive to Texas, leave my dog. My son, by the way, just got a job here 3 weeks ago and was starting to love North Little Rock and wanting to stay here, but he will be immediately asking for a transfer. He works for HP, so he can work in another state. I'm educated. I have a college degree from University of Arkansas, Fayetteville. He's a biochemist. I hate to see North Little Rock lose people who could contribute to the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vicki.
May I pass these out?
Absolutely.
Just hand them to Jason. You.
Hand them right here to Linda, and she'll pass them out for you. Shannon, I have you down again. Do you want to speak again?
I'll be brief because I'm really not sure if this is a platform, but I want to just reach out to the city and to you guys. And one of you had said earlier that you were in a situation with this legislation that you were talking about where y'all could make changes and this opportunity wouldn't arise again likely or very many times, and that's where we are in a situation over in East North Little Rock. And it's almost becoming a fight. And what it is that we live in North Little Rock, and there's an opportunity with the special committee, many of you might know, with the Board of Education that are looking at the boundary lines, and we're wanting to be a part of North Little Rock. It's been an ongoing discussion. It's a bigger ordeal than, I'm learning it's a big ordeal. Pulaski County does not want to let us go, but we definitely want to be a part of North Little Rock. And it's not just we Stone Links. A lot of us out there have gotten together and discussed this. And the special committee meets again next month on the 13th. There's a millage vote on the 12th with Pulaski County. I know there's a lot of things that have to play out, but on the 13th, I've gone already on the previous meeting. I'm going to go again on the 13th. North Little Rock's been there, school district. I know you had someone read a letter on your behalf, and others are wanting out. So I don't know what'll happen, but I want to put that out there that we're in a situation out there where we feel like, man, if this could happen, it would benefit us. One of those things that I see coming in the future for us in East North Little Rock that is really going to be great for us if we can be part of North Little Rock School District and how that area grows. So I want to let you guys know what we're working on and just ask for your support. Again, the special committee is meeting on the 13th of next month. I don't know the exact time. I can't remember offhand, but anyone that can come and support us in this North Little Rock School District and just help us become a part of that and get that worked out. That's our goal. So
we're rooting hard.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Council comments.
Sir,
ma'am.
could I just add one more thing?
Yes. 30. Come up to the microphone.
I want you all to know that Little Rock does not ban pit bulls, because I had one of our council members ask me. They do have restrictions, but they do not ban them.
Thank you. Council, how about a motion?
So moved.
On the motion to adjourn.
House, White, Taylor.
Yes.
Robinson, Baxter, Fauch,
Yes.
Height, and Witcher.
Yes. Okay. Let's vote often.
She didn't wait.